Alrighty, so today we're going to be showing you how to set up a tent and the do's and don'ts, as well as sort of what you want to look for where you want to set up a tent, as well as areas that you want to avoid when setting up a tent. So right in this area, we have a very good example of what you don't want to look for. You see how you have all this runoff from water and rain and stuff like that? You want to avoid that because that means that water could get inside of your tent and soak all your stuff. You also want to avoid really uneven ground, just like this area as well, where it sort of rolls and is all sorts of funky, because that can really mess up how your tent sits, and it will not be very comfortable to sleep on. Another thing you want to avoid is any sharp objects. So if you have a lot of rocks, if you have a very rocky area, you want to try to avoid that. If there's no other areas to set up, you want to try to find this flattest area that you can, even if there are rocks, or if you need to move to somewhere else, do that. You also want to avoid what they call widowmakers and dead branches. So you want to look above you and you want to make sure that there's no dead branches or any large hanging branches in the trees above you. Because if one of those falls off, it can crash your tent and ruin the party real fast. Another thing you want to go for is you want to try to stay up high, so that if it does rain, the water will go around your tent and past it, rather than going into your tent. So like this, you want to try to avoid the lower area, and you want to stay up high, away from where the water wants to run. So we're going to take you over to where they're setting up our tent, and a great example of where to set up your tent. Alright, so here we have a great example of where to set up your tent. If you notice, it's real clear overhead, no branches, nothing like that. It's also a really flat area, no rocks, no water runoff, anything like that. They picked a great area to set up their tent. So they're going to start, they took all their stuff out of the bags, make sure that they have everything before they start setting the tent up. So they're going to take the tarp and they're going to spread it out, make sure that it's nice and flat so they have a large enough area for their tent to sit on top of. The next thing they're going to be doing is they're going to take the ends of the tent, or the corners of the tent, and they're going to spread those out and make sure that their tent gets nice and flat, make sure that it's as large as they can get it, so that when they're putting the poles in and everything, they don't have to worry about stretching the tent out too much more. Alright, so the next thing they're going to be doing is they're going to be taking the poles for the tent, the front and back poles, not the rainfly pole yet. In this case, they're colored orange, and they're going to be laying them down where they're going to go in the tent. So in this case, the poles are going to be going in each corner. So they're going to take their front corners, and they're going to put each end of the pole into the corner. And then they're going to go along, once the corners are in, they're going to go along and clip all of the clips along the top of the tent to the pole. And that's going to pull the tent up and give it that nice dome shape that they're looking for. Alright, so as you can see, they put the pole in each corner of the tent, and then they went along and clipped each of these little black clips onto the pole. So that's what they're going to do for the other side as well. And that will pull the top of the tent up into this arc shape that will give you your basic structure for the tent. So now that they have all these middle clips on, they have to take their yellow pole and they're going to put it through the center. And that's going to give the rest of the structure to the tent, and it's going to hold it outwards so you don't have a collapsing tent. So for them, it's going to go in each of the end caps on each side, and that's going to pull the tent outwards and give it a tension. The yellow pole here is going to go underneath of each of the orange poles, which you'll find on a lot of backpacking tents. You want one pole under and one pole over top. Here we go. Sweet. Sorry. And then they're going to clip this middle section, hold that middle pole in place, spread the tent out to its full size, and then yeah, there you go. That's your basic part of the tent. The next step is going to be getting the rain fly. So they're going to pull the entire rain fly right over the top of the tent, one on each side, and that's going to lay the rain fly right over top of the tent, giving you a nice cover. They then go and they're going to clip each of the corners. They have a little black seatbelt-like clip that's going to clip in and hold the rain fly down on top of the tent so that you don't get the rain fly flying away from you. You're going to notice on the ends of the rain fly, as well as on the corners, there's these little bits of string. What you can do with those, you pull those out and you stake those into the ground to give it even more security to the ground. Keep it nice and close and make sure that it doesn't move anywhere on you. So, you want to make sure that you go around when you're putting the stakes in and get the four corners as well as your doorway, because those are going to be your main points where you want to keep the water out. So, we got our tent all set up. Make sure that you follow these tips whenever you're looking for a place to set up your tent, and we hope these videos find you well.